Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Jennifer,
Here.
Tracy,
Here.
Paul,
Here.
and then we'll try the ones who aren't here yet. Mark Kontalainen.
Present.
Okay, thanks, Mark. And Susan Milne.
I'm
Okay, and I am here. Okay, now back to our approval of minutes. Everyone has any comments or questions about the minutes? None? May I have a mover
I have
for?
a correction.
Oh,
I
okay.
have a-
Go ahead, Susan.
I have a correction.
Go
I'm
ahead,
trying
Susan.
to find it. I believe it's page 7. Page 7, Roman numeral 5. And it's just a typo, but it doesn't read correctly. You found it?
And do you see that correction, Virginia?
Yep, do you see it? Outdoor recreation opportunities, maybe it's page 6. The committee reviewed the many outdoor recreation opportunities, blah, 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 for creatively improving outdoor activity, not proving.
Good eyes, Susan. Thank you. Okay. Any other corrections or comments? May I have a mover for the minutes, please? Who would like to move? Robert, and a seconder?
Sure.
Tracy, is that you? Seconding?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I can. I wasn't at the.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you can't, right?
Paul or Mark both raised their hands that I saw.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, now we'll ask whether you're for or against. Robert? Are you for? Yes.
Yes, 4. Yes.
Dean is for. Jennifer?
4.
Mark?
4.
Tracy?
Or
Paul?
4.
And Susan? Susan, are you for?
I think she's
Four.
froze.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Item number 2 on our agenda, declaration of pecuniary interest. Anyone have anything, conflict of interest to declare? None noted. Item number 3, our business arising. We have our Farmer Lake Mountain Bike Trail Network. Is Travis coming on to join us?
He's here.
He's here. Okay.
And I'm just going to also share my screen. Travis sent an overview, so. And just for David, if you're listening, I'd be happy to share this with you after the meeting if you want to email me.
Okay, everyone in the committee is aware that the Farmer Lake Mountain Bike Trail is located in the Hiawatha Highlands. And it's an ongoing initiative of Tourism Sault Ste. Marie in partnership with the Kinsman Club, the Conservation Authority, and probably the Sault Ste. Marie Bicycle Club, Sault Cycling Club. Anyway, Travis, are you here?
I am, yeah. And Virginia, I don't know, can you transfer, either I can ask you to flip slides or I'm not sure if you can transfer me to be the host, but either way, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Oh, you're muted. Virginia, you're just on mute, so.
Sorry, I'll just move it along because every time
Okay,
I go to try
excellent.
to.
We'll go to the next slide, please. So I'm here today to talk to you guys about the Farmer Lake mountain bike trail system and the broader Algoma Trail network. You know, from the city's perspective, and Dean is accurate. You know, this initiative is being led through the Tourism and Community Development Department here. It originated as a project idea out of the Future SSM project. And one of the key drivers for doing this project was we were trying to look at a way to not only increase the tourism portfolio locally, so looking for an alternative way to bring more people to Sault Ste. Marie, but also as a means to attract new residents and retain the residents that we do have. You know, we view trails collectively, not only mountain bike trails, but trails collectively as a great asset for tourism and a great way to attract people to visit and live in our community. As mentioned, you know, we've been working on this initiative. One of the first individuals that I worked on this with would have been Dean Greenwood, you know, in terms of providing some guidance on how we could get this project approved and dealing with the various owners. So I want to extend that thanks to Dean for all of his efforts, not only in the early phases, but also continuing through this. So the project itself lies within the property of the Conservation Authority. It's in Hiawatha Highlands, immediately north and east of Connor Road. And the network itself will connect to the existing mountain bike trails at Hiawatha Highlands. So we have roughly, you know, about 37 kilometers worth of mountain bike specific trails at Hiawatha. And what we're hoping to do over the course of this year and potentially into 2022 is add an additional 20 kilometers worth of mountain bike trails. We are terming the trails as purpose-built for mountain biking, but they will be available for multi-use. So all human-powered activities will be allowed on the trails, including hikers, dog walkers, you know, in the summer months, runners. And then as we transition to winter, you know, they would also be available for fat biking, snowshoeing, and backcountry skiing. In addition to the trail system that we're looking at with Farmer Lake, and I'll walk through some of the maps shortly here, we're also looking at ways that we can connect the existing trail system directly into the community. So one of the key initiatives that we're looking at for this year is also advancing a plan that would excuse me, provide a connection directly from Third Line across the Root River into Wishart Park and up through Fourth Line, and that would allow us to directly access the Red Pine Trail system. So we're hoping to kick off some of the engineering and permitting studies for that project this year, and if all goes well, you know, we would acquire a bridge and potentially finish that construction, most likely in you know, at the very earliest, or late 2021, but most likely 2022. So we'll just, you know, in addition, the last bullet here, in addition to the Conservation Authority and the Sioux Cycling Club, we've also had great engagement with Sioux Finnish Nordic Ski Club and the Sioux Trailblazers Snowmobile Club. And the reason why we engaged with the Snowmobile Club is, you know, they actively use that area throughout the winter. And with the integration of winter fat biking, it was important to consult with that land user or trail user group as well. Go to the next slide, please, Virginia. So in terms of a bit of a regional context and you know, some of the economic benefits of mountain biking, I'm going to touch a little bit on, you know, some of the more successful trail networks across North America. So the Kingdom Trails in Vermont is probably one of the pinnacles of multi-use trail development for non-motorized vehicles and largely pedestrian-driven recreation. They've got close to 100 miles of mountain bike trails. They've had this established network for quite some time now. And the latest results that I was able to pull was from 2018, where they registered 137 thousand annual visits with an estimated economic impact of $10 million to their community. We've also got a study looking at the city of Squamish, which is out in British Columbia. You know, in terms of rating the importance of the trail network for residents and their decision to live in Sault Ste. Marie, of the people that they interviewed, over 80% indicated that the mountain bike trail network were very important part of their decision to live in the area. Closer to home, we look at Copper Harbor, which is just south and west of us here on Lake Superior. They've got about 52 kilometers of mountain bike specific trails. The average population of that, you know, sort of the full-time resident population of that town is about 108 people. Over the course of the summer, they get about 20,000 mountain bike specific travelers with an average spend of about $150 per visitor and an average spend of about 3.5 days. So it's a pretty significant cash injection to that community. And again, kind of on the southern shores of Lake Superior, Marquette, Michigan, you know, has seen a significant growth in terms of tourism as a result of mountain biking. And they've really done a great job of developing this as a year-round asset for them. They've got over 100 kilometers of trails, most of which are groomed in the winter for winter fat biking. They've got a couple of really big events that they're bringing in tourists just, you know, for weekend events, plus the combined impact of the trail network itself. And they're seeing, you know, approximately 35,000 visitors on an annual basis. So some really great assets in terms of trail town development. We can go to the next slide, Virginia. So, you know, from our aspect, you know, when we look at a tourism opportunity, definitely with the advent of winter fat biking, we see it as a year-round activity. You know, we have seen a huge growth in cycling as a key activity for tourism, with over 10.7 million Americans and more than 2.4 million Canadians having reported, you know, partaking in cycling while on an overnight trip in the last 2 years. In 2016, cycle tourism generated roughly 517 million throughout the province and accounted for 1.9% of the total visitor spending of over 1.6 million visits. So what we're finding with mountain bike tourism and cycling tourism as a whole is those individuals that travel, they're willing to go longer distances. They're willing to stay longer. And if you have a good product and your trail system is the product, you know, there's very low barriers to get people here from Southern Ontario or, you know, elsewhere throughout the province to come here. And certainly that was our experience last year. I ran into a number of people at the trailhead at Hiawatha, you know, all the way from Pembroke or Waterloo or, you know, the Aurelia area that were coming up. And, you know, it's certainly nice to see those visits coming here specifically for our mountain bike trails, particularly when we haven't started construction on our new trail network. So I think the quality of our trail system is going to increase vastly. And as a result, we'll start to see a lot more visitation in the area. I'll let you flip to the next one there, Virginia. So, you know, from our standpoint, what we see as an opportunity, you know, Algoma Highlands and Hiawatha Highlands in particular has some really great topography and unique geography that, you know, provides us with the opportunity to build a world-class trail system. You know, the terrain that we have here is not terrain that's typically found in Southern Ontario or in the Midwest. You know, you look at all the imagery that we have from the area, it's more representative of the trail networks that you see either in Eastern Quebec or in British Columbia. And it really allows people to provide, you know, the opportunity to come ride trail systems that, you know, typically they'd have to hop on a plane to access. So we've got great trail network. We've got great location in terms of our proximity to well-established ride centers such as Copper Harbor and Marquette, Michigan, as well as the access, you know, when the border is open to U.S. markets. We've been fortunate enough to secure $500,000 to date from the federal government for trail development, plus another $167,000 that we pulled in through the municipal accommodation tax. In addition to that, we're investing another $150,000 this year out of the city share of the municipal accommodation tax to look at the connections into town, as well as a mountain bike skills park for youth at Kinsman Park in Hiawatha Highlands. So our main tactic here, the main approach that we're trying to execute, is really develop a fully comprehensive strategy that targets 2 to 3 day visits into Ste. Marie. So for mountain biking, with the primary product that we're going after is the infrastructure development, which is the trail network. We're also looking at what we can do to increase events locally, and lastly, our marketing plans to really get the message out about this trail system. You can flip to the next one, Virginia. So there's a great quote here. This was a YouTuber that came up to the area last year, did some videos about our trails, and really kind of gave their stamp of approval on our network. And their quote was, "That was hands down the best trail I've ever ridden in Ontario. They've got all the ingredients for a mecca here. They've got a city council that wants trails. They've got builders that want to build trails. They're doing it right." So that's kind of the overall message that we've got being pumped out about our trails across Ontario, and certainly something that we're trying to reinforce with this new development. We'll just let you flip to the next one. So this is all these squiggly lines here represent the trail network that we're trying to build. So for now and for this year, what we're really focusing is on the trail network that's on the north side of Connor Road. So the white line through the middle is Connor Road. You can just see the parking lot and the Rod and Gun Club, which is the clearing. You can kind of see it in the visual there. What we're hoping to do, and I apologize, the image is a little bit blurry, but we've got a large kind of spine network trail, which is the yellow trail, which is going to go north and east from Connor Road, from the tail end of Connor Road. For those of you that have been out there, it's just past the yellow gate, right next to the signage for the Voyager Trail Network. The trail's going to, the first main point of the trail is going to be the Farmer Lake connection. There's a beautiful rock outcrop there. People have the opportunity to pedal out there and hang out on the lake for a little rest stop should they choose. And then from there, we're going to continue out to Crystal Lake for another viewing. Our long-term plan is to connect the Green Trail back around to Maple Lake and then south back to Hiawatha Highlands. In addition to the main yellow trail that we're going to put out, we will also be building the black and red trails, which are in close proximity to the parking lot. Those are going to be what they term as enduro-style flow trails. So that's kind of the equivalent of downhill mountain biking with a little bit more opportunity for people to pedal back up to the top of the hills. Normally on a downhill mountain bike, it's kind of, you go down and then hopefully you have a chairlift to bring you back up, or a shuttle ride. Here, there's a really strong movement across North America and essentially the globe towards this enduro style of riding, which is a much more technical, you might have some bigger jumps, you might have some good burn corners, really appealing, almost like a roller coaster ride kind of feeling as you go down these trails. So we're going to put a number of those trails in that location, so people will be able to cycle and do circuits back and forth on that area there. Or if they choose, they'll have a nice technical flow trail that will take you out to Farmer Lake and Crystal Lake. So these are much more modern trails than the ones that we currently have. Most of those trails were built throughout the 90s and early 2000s. So I think from a rider experience standpoint, this will be a much improved experience. Before I move on from this slide, any questions from anybody here? Not seeing any. So, oh, Dean, looks like you're trying to speak, but on mute.
Okay, Travis, I'm just getting unmuted, sorry. Do you have a timeline on what is planned for this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of it will depend on how quickly the snow leaves. And I'll admit, as an avid skier, it's the first year that I've prayed for the snow to go away as quickly as possible. But, what we're hoping to do is have, so the group that's building our trails is Sentier Boreal. They're out of Quebec. They're planning on coming up here as soon as the snow leaves, so it could be late April, potentially May. And we're going to have them begin building out towards Farmer Lake. We're hoping, if all goes well, to have the full network in place by the end of the summer. And certainly the red and black trails as well. So they'll, I think the plan at this point is to start, depending on the crews, they may start one crew towards Crystal Lake and work back towards the west, and then another crew at kind of the entranceway to the Voyageur Trail and work towards Farmer Lake. But some of those details will flesh out as we get closer to the springtime. The other network that they're going to be developing for us, again, it'll probably be in August, is we are looking at developing a skills park in Kinsman Park for mountain biking. And we have been in conversations with the Ontario Cycling Association. What we're hoping to do is work with the Cycling Association, Ontario Cycling Association, to develop like a Northern Ontario regional training grounds in Sault Ste. Marie, where young athletes would be able to come here. They have weekend long, or potentially in the future maybe longer training camps here, where they would have the opportunity to come to Sault Ste. Marie, ride our trail network, improve their skills in the skills park, and there'd be a series of coaching and athlete development programs here. So well, maybe, unless there's any other questions on this particular map, we can flip to the next.
Travis?
Yeah.
If I take my fishing rod along, how lucky will I be on Farmer, Crystal, and Maple Lake?
You know what? I think there are some specs maybe in Crystal. I remember grade 8 or grade 9 camping out there. I don't know about Farmer. Might not have any luck, but I know people do fish in Crystal. So.
Hey, thank you.
No problem.
One more question, Travis.
Yeah.
It's Mark. How wide will these trails be?
Yeah, we're designing them to like roughly 48 inches or less. I think we're trying to minimize the width of them. There's a fair amount of unauthorized ATV traffic up in this area, so we don't want to make them too wide because we don't want ATVs accessing them, but we're trying to make them wide enough that there's ample room. Are you inquiring, Mark, because you're wondering about the possibility for cross-country skiing, or just curious overall?
Yeah, just curious overall. Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, they'll be a bit wider than probably than some of the existing mountain bike trails, just because a lot of those were built just by hand, where these will be built with mini excavators.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
Virginia, I think you can go to the next slide. And so this map here shows a couple of options that we were looking at in terms of potential connections between third and fourth line. We're still in the development phase on this particular project. The city owns Wishart Park and owns property on the south side of Wishart Park. What we don't own is land from the city property to third line. So we're currently in discussions with a number of property owners there to see whether or not we can establish an easement similar to what we've done with the hub trail. We were looking, a number of these options that we're assessing are no longer relevant. RP1, which is the red line, we were hoping to look to see whether or not we could put a route that would avoid a bridge crossing over Wishart Park. So we were hoping to connect into Glengarry Estates. Unfortunately, that option wasn't feasible. So now we're looking at a blue option. It'll be a variation of this design. This certainly isn't a final design, and the route itself is subject to change. But at this point, it's looking like we put a recreation bridge over the Root River. It's roughly, I think, about a 75-foot span that we would need. And from that, people would be able to access the trail off the hub trail on third line, get on this multi-use off-road path, and connect directly up through Wishart Park into the Red Pine Trail system. And then from there, you see the other single track networks that the darker blue line illustrates on this map. So it's a great, I think a really great initiative. I know a number of people, you know, in the community, I think would prefer not to drive up to Hiawatha, but you know, are challenged either with the hills on Landslide Hill or just don't like the traffic and contending with that as they bike up. So being able to hop on the hub trail, you know, both from the west end and Fort Creek area or from the east end and access directly up to Hiawatha, whether you're a biker, a runner, you know, a dog walker, etc. I think it'll be a really great connection for the community. And, you know, ideally over the long term, we know, I'm sure you guys are aware that the cycling club is moving forward with their own plans to develop a trail, a flow trail adjacent to Finn Hill. You know, I think over the long term, we'd like to look at a connection that, you know, goes all the way from Finn Hill, using the hub trail for a portion of it to cross second line, and then continuing adjacent to somewhere in the vicinity of Strathclyde Park, all the way up to this area here. It adds a lot to the community, I think, both in terms of placemaking and also, you know, a great tourism asset, because then you could literally walk out of your hotel, hop on your bike, and bike all the way up to Hiawatha should you choose to do so. Any questions on this map here? No. Okay, Virginia, you can flip to the next slide. So, you know, with respect to events, you know, this is a big piece that what we're working on, and hopefully something that brings more attention to the trail network and more people into the area. You know, last big event that we had on the mountain bike stage was Crank the Shield. You know, we had one in 2018. You know, it brought in about 460,000, 67,000 into the community. You know, it was on an events basis, you know, it was a decent turnout, but definitely not one of the larger events that we've had, and certainly we'll want to grow this event as well as others. I think it had about 180 riders that participated. You know, we certainly want to see some bigger growth there. So we are currently working on some plans. Obviously, COVID adds a lot to the mix, so we're hopeful that we're going to be able to pull off some of these events, although we're not certain at this point. It just depends on where the public health situation lies. So we are looking at a fall event, likely in October. We're hoping to do a longer stage race here. So it'd be a 50 to 80 kilometer single day event. There's similar ones in Traverse City called the Iceman, and Ore to Shore in Marquette. Iceman itself, it's in November and attracts about 5,000 racers for that event, and Ore to Shore brings in about 2,000 racers. So we're hoping to replicate, you know, an event similar to those two events, and you know, hopefully over the long term, we're able to grow our participants to those kind of numbers. I think if we were wildly successful, that would be great. We are also in early stages of planning a winter fat bike race. It's something that we'd like to do to kind of highlight our winter mountain bike network. At this point, between Hiawatha Highlands and Crimson Ridge, as well as some of the urban trails that we have arguably the largest winter fat bike network in all of Ontario. And it's certainly, you know, something that we see as a growth market for winter tourism. So we'll continue to advance those projects. We're also on the books at this point for an Ontario Cup race this summer, but it's an earlier season race. So, you know, again, we'll see where COVID lands and see whether or not that's going to be allowed to happen this year. I'll let you flip to the next one, Virginia. So again, looking back at some of the events that we're hoping for on a normal year, the cycling club hosts Trails Fest. They've had upwards of 400 participants. You know, we're hoping to get behind them and work with them this year to kind of grow that event. You know, it's typically in May. So again, some pretty strong headwinds with respect to COVID, so we're uncertain about that. You know, we are looking at some of these I've already discussed, the O-Cup and Crank the Shield. So we'll continue to keep working with our partners to develop these events, but it's probably hopefully will happen this year, but potentially in 2022 if not. And I think that's about it. So if anybody has any other questions?
Well, thank you, Travis. That's exciting news. It's been years in the making, and you guys are getting it done.
Thanks, Dean. Looks like Robert's got a question.
Yeah, how much is this gonna cost?
Yeah, so the first phase of development that we're doing, total construction cost just of the Farmer Lake out to Crystal Lake. We're anticipating on spending roughly 500,000 on construction. The overall budget, when you factor in the master plans and some of the marketing and equipment, as part of our funding, we purchased a snowmobile for grooming for the cycling club for winter fat biking. So total cost for the project right now are $767,000. Or sorry, make sure I get my math right, $667,000 for that portion. We have another 150,000 of the city share of the tourism budget that we're putting towards not only the connection between 3rd and 4th line, but also the skills park in Hiawatha Islands.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I think it's just awesome. It's gonna be amazing. Good work.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, we're excited. Yeah, I was one of the, I guess, myself and the Jackmates were some of the first people to build mountain bike trails in the Sioux, starting back in '93. It was like a bunch of hand snips and some rakes, and so definitely having a professional contractor with ample trail building experience to come in and do some of this heavy lifting is going to be a huge asset for us. So very excited about it.
Well, thanks again, Travis. That was excellent.
Okay, thanks everybody.
I think some of the members, if we get Virginia to pass that PowerPoint along to us, that would be great to have.
Yeah, I'll probably update that. I noticed a couple wrong dates in there, so maybe I'll tweak that, Virginia, and send you an updated one just to make sure that there's no conflicts with the dates.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Business arising. We've done our great presentation from Travis. The commemorative bench program is item number 2. I guess we're going to hear from Margaret. Well, maybe Virginia will handle it for us.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, Margaret. Thank you.
Okay, I'm here. All right.
Okay.
I think that Virginia kindly forwarded to all of you the general information about the commemorative bench program that gives you the meat of the program and the costs and those kinds of figures. I believe that you had asked me to update you a bit about the history and where we're at. Some of you were around during the time, but I believe back in 2006, perhaps maybe even earlier, this came on to PRAC's plate, and it became a Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee project. Since that time, we've installed well over 100 benches throughout the community. The main focus began at Bellevue Park in and around there. The flower garden area is where the Victorian style benches are placed, and then the commemorative benches are placed throughout the park and the other city locations. Some of the city locations include Topsail Island. We've got 11 out on Topsail Island now. The hub trail, we had started to get requests for individuals wanting to place benches at various locations on the hub trail, and that was definitely supported, and we've got 11 throughout the hub trail area. In fact, one bench is near the hospital that was purchased in memory of a doctor that had passed away. We've got the Clerk Park area, but that is specifically Lions Club benches. And we've got our first one being installed this summer at Point of Shane. That was of significance to the family and that purchased it, and we work with them to find a suitable location. Since 2019 through to where we are today, we've had 20 benches that have come in that short period of time. So you can see that the interest really has taken off over the last 3 years and continues to, we continue to get lots of inquiries. The most, the bench that we install the most frequently would be the contemporary bench, the one that's 980 plus HST. And our goal actually is to try to work specifically with the applicants so that whatever their vision is, we try to work with them to fit it within what our guidelines offer. And it seems to have been well received, and the community is responding well. Any questions?
Margaret, does the cost that's it's shown on those form, does that include the installation or just the bench?
It includes everything. It includes the purchase of the plaque, the purchase of the bench, and the installation. So it's a fairly reasonable price. And we haven't really had any kind of negative feedback with the price point.
I'll add a comment there. It should be noted that price, so it's pretty good value for money when you consider it's for 10 years. Aren't I?
And Paul, did you?
Yeah, I've seen in other cities where they also have like other items like trees. Is that something that you ever considered, like where you can donate it or sponsor a planting of a tree or something like that?
Maybe I'll defer this to Verge.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. We had started to look into trees, I believe, that we haven't like fully kind of done the rest of the research right now, just how they work and picking the locations and the types of trees, and then how we would go about actually putting any placking on it. So that's something that I think is going to have further discussion with staff, just to see where those would be appropriate, and then how we would recognize the donation.
Yeah, it would be nice if it's as another option. So
I like that idea. In Calgary, they have a park along. It's the same thing where I don't know how many cemeteries they do anymore, but they have a park where families purchase trees, and then they have like a cement structure where the plaque for the family or the person that passed, that's where they're acknowledged. And then the family goes and plants the tree somewhere in this park. So I like that idea too.
For your information, while I was the Centennial president of the Rotary Club a couple of years ago, that was one of our projects. We planted, I think, Virginia, Margaret, I think it was 70 trees along Carmen's Way and new part that's right beside the International Bridge there along Albert Street. Am I correct?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Reading about that. Yeah.
Yes, Rob, that was an initiative specifically through Rotary,
yeah.
And they received a grant, and it was quite a significant environmental greening initiative that they brought forward. And that through the grant, they purchased all the trees, the city installed all the trees, and in order to recognize them, the city put 2 benches on the hub trail in the area where the planting that they donated has occurred. So, we definitely keep the green environment and trees on the radar. We just haven't really gotten into individual kinds of purchases yet.
Okay, well, that's great, Margaret. Anyone have any other comments or questions on that? All right, we're moving on to item number 4 on our agenda. the advisory committee reports or updates. Number one on that is a stack update. And the news there is, of course, that on February 22nd, the city and the cycling club came to an agreement for the single track trail project at the Finn Hill area. So immediately the next day, the cycling club has launched their fundraising initiative. So as Paul had mentioned at our last meeting, you can take a look at that on the cycling club website. You can donate to that trail on the cycling club website. What they're doing is they're actually making a coaster that says Sioux Cycling Club, and for $20 you get a coaster, and it's you're buying a meter of the single track trail. And the single track trail there is approximately 3,000 meters long, or 3 kilometers. And basically I can suggest that in the last week or so, they have been very popular. I might suggest, Robert, that it's if you're looking at donating to that, a set of 4 coasters works really well. So anyway, it's just
What was that? What am I putting my money to?
the cycling club is selling coasters, and you buy a coaster for $20, and it pays for a meter of the cycling
Oh, you
trail.
talking the things you put drinks on?
Right, exactly.
Oh, okay, okay.
And, but you should buy a set of
on the
4.
hill, you know?
Anyway, it's a great promotion, and you'll see them in they're available a number of places in the city, but they're also available on the cycling club's website.
And can I just add, like, most of you know, my wife and I, for the last month or so, we've been walking. We walked 160 kilometers for Snoworama, which is normally a snowmobile run for, but because of COVID, we were able to do whatever. And we walked those trails. And if you want to get your heart pumping and you want to put a good sweat on, you walk those trails. They're awesome. They're awesome. I'm really happy to see those things going in. And yes, Dean, my money will be going that way.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, item number 2 on our committee projects or advisory committee reports is our Sports Hall of Fame. Virginia?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. We haven't had the opportunity to call a subcommittee meeting yet through Zoom, but we will try to get that in the next week or 2. Correct, Virginia?
Yeah, that would be correct. So that'll be the next step, and then the applications will be released.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5 on our agenda. Do we have any outstanding items? I don't think so. No. Our item 6 is correspondence and publication. Again, I know. All right, we're right down to number 7. In your package, and you received from Virginia under new business, the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative grant. That was excellent to take a look at, about Point of Shane and different things like that. I guess, Brent, you were the author of that, I think.
Sure, Dean. Do you want me to give a quick recap?
That would be awesome. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, we found out on February 9th during a webinar that myself and Virginia and Margaret attended, that it was announced by the Minister of Infrastructure, the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative grant. And what that is a grant that's available for space in the amount of $5,000 to $250,000. And we had a number of items identified. And through this, it was a very quick turnaround. So we got together with Community Services, Tourism and Parks Department to try to turn around something in quick order. And Margaret's working on this grant for us right now. At February 22nd meeting, Council did support what was proposed. And just for everyone's information here, that consists of a shade structure that had been looked at for quite some time. The other shade structure hadn't been there for quite a while at Point de Shane. Parks had that on their radar. Relocating the playground equipment, which is tired with new equipment in a strategic area. We had discussions with the Sault Ste. Marie Disc Golf Club over the last little while, and they are actually going to be coming potentially present at PRAC. But given that the time frame here and the opportunity to take advantage of the grant, we felt that it was important to include this ask, and also some communication with volleyball and tourism with respect to being able to host recreational and tourism events at the site and installation. So altogether, it's $105,000 ask. Of that, the city's contribution is $25,000, $15,000 that would come from the park subdivider reserve, and $10,000 in kind labor. So we felt it was a very fair ask. 80,000 of that would be grant portion, so roughly 76% of that would be grant. So it really activate the space, and we feel, which is also going to be a resolution that came from Councillor Shoemaker. I don't know if he's on the line here, Councillor Gardy as well. There's also a transit initiative, which is on the agenda I see here today as well. So that would potentially work well. Another report that would be forthcoming. So Margaret's busy right now getting letters of support. I know she has one already from the Sioux Disc Golf Club. I believe one from Algoma Public Health, which supports it. I think she's also working on one from the Volleyball Association as well. So we'd have 3 different letters of support that would hopefully help this project. And hopefully, with our fingers crossed, we'd be successful in having this come forward, and then we could action this item for this summer.
That's great news, Brent. Anyone have any questions or comments? Okay.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Under our new business, item number 2 is the Sioux Cycling Club land use agreement. I guess that was covered under my stack report. And item number 3, the Pointe-aux-Chenes Transit Council resolution. And I think we're going to hear from Brent again.
Yes, thanks, Dean. Yes, the resolution was moved by Councillor Shoemaker and Councillor Gardy. And just make sure I have that correct. I believe that's the 2 mover and seconders. Yep, moved by Councillor Shoemaker and seconded by Councillor Gardy. With respect to really providing opportunities, they're looking for a potential pilot this summer, starting at the end of June, running through Labor Day weekend. I have started to draft a report and put together some of the numbers that would entail a potential route out to the space. And I think the intent of the resolution is really to provide opportunities to individuals that may not be able to utilize the space on a regular basis, that might not have a car. So it would provide another means of transit. So we're just working through that. I'm hoping to bring that report in the near future back to council in time to potentially look to see what could be done for this summer. So that's going to be coming back in short order to council.
Thank you, Brent. Any questions or comments? Okay. Well,
It's Jen. Can I ask
Yes,
a quick
Jen.
question? Somewhat related, somewhat not. Last year they did the pilot project, I think, for the buses to some of the free rec areas. Can you remind me, is that going to happen again this summer?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it was actually extended because the data was there was hard with COVID, and they really wanted to expand it again. So it is taking place again this summer. So it takes to many of the many areas like the splash pad, the pump track, bike track, skateboard park, I should say. So yeah, all the main areas there are covered under that pilot.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yep, no problem.
That's great. Thank you, Brent. Okay, we're moving on to item number 8 on our agenda. April 6th will be our next meeting. And item number 9 is when I get to ask for a motion to adjourn. Who would like to move? Jen, and a seconder? Robert. Okay, I'm going to go through our list. Let us know whether you're for or against. Robert?
Or
Dean is for. Jennifer?
4.
Mark?
Or
Tracy?
Or
Paul?
Or
And Susan? Thank you, Susan. Okay, folks, I guess that's it. That was a great meeting. Some great things happening. I think Mark and Paul, we're going to have to, the 3 of us will organize a fat bike ride in June. What do you think? We'll have to get training wheels for
Definitely.
Robert's fat bike, but other than that, we'll be okay.
that's good.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.